Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. In this specific video today, we're going to be talking about something very important, and that is deep inner child healing. How can we best go about healing the inner child, and overall just remembering who it is that we came here to be, who it is that we are deeply at our core, and how can we best learn to embody that essence once again. Now, let's first start by addressing what the inner child is specifically. Now, obviously, as we all already know, we all carry our inner child within us. The inner child is the essence of our child self that never truly leaves us. The inner child is really our child self. It's pretty self-explanatory. We all came here being much better equipped than we would like to give ourselves credit for. Children are extremely smart, and that is because children are truly aware and fully in touch and in tune, okay? If you look back on your child self, you might find the real you. If you look back on your child self and you look back on the things you liked to do back then, on your hobbies, on the ways in which you used to speak, how you used to act, you will find the real you before all of that was suppressed, before that light, because we all came here shining very hard, okay? Who were you before that light might have gotten dimmed down by people, by situations, by overall just life, right? We live in this world, and we all know this, it's very much a cliche, that the older you get, the more life just kind of sucks more, right? We've just kind of accepted that as a society. You grow older, you become an adult, you start working, bills, right? And then we've just kind of accepted that. Kind of accepted as a society that the older we get, the more miserable we become. And that's because a lot of the times we tend to detach from our child selves. We tend to detach from the things that brought us true happiness, true joy, true fulfillment. That is why it is so important to get back in touch with the child self, to be able to reincorporate into your life hobbies that once made you very, very happy, okay? Your passion, your true essence, and your true individuality. Step number 1 in going about healing your inner child is recognizing that you came here with a larger purpose, okay? We all, as human beings, came here with a very unique and special purpose to share out with the world, okay? And the very first step in reconnecting back to the inner child is recognizing that. If you're this type of person that you've been telling yourself this story that, oh, I'm one of the few people that came here without a gift. I don't really have anything special like that to share out with the world, right? Maybe you're that type of person that you've been telling yourself this false narrative, this false story. It can be easy to go about life telling yourself and wiring yourself in such a way to where you kind of lose yourself. You know how I was talking about how that light deep inside you tends to get dimmed down through the years, through other people, through trauma, through situations, okay? If you keep allowing those situations and those people to keep dimming your light, they very much will, you guys. They very much will. So it's very important to tap back into that light and to simply just start again by recognizing that you came here to serve a large purpose, okay? You play a role in this whole humanity thing. You do. In your own unique special way. Even if you might feel like you don't, you do. And the very first step is just recognizing that. Recognizing that you're more than capable and more than deserving of love, you guys. A lot of the time, for people that have been trying to manifest more happiness, more joy, more love, and it's not working, a lot of the time it goes back to addressing the core issue. It's always gonna go back to the core issue. It always is. If you don't address the core issue, aka the inner child, you can't really move forward. And a big part of that is recognizing that you are worthy, letting go of the block, the energetic block there that you might be carrying, that you might not be worthy, that, oh, I'm just not that special, or, you know, I don't think I'll ever find happiness. You see how those mental patterns that you've been, you know, rewiring yourself with, they become blocks, energetic blocks. And it can become hard to manifest happiness, true joy, true peace, when you're carrying around this belief that you are not deserving, okay? That you don't really feel like you have a larger purpose to humanity. So again, step number 1 is recognizing that you do, that you simply do. And it's just a matter of getting back into touch with it. But first you have to recognize it, and you have to accept it, and you have to be willing to let go of guilt that you might be carrying. Which also, we're going to talk about step number 2 now, which kind of goes hand in hand. All of these 3 steps go very hand in hand together. Step number 2, you guys, is forgiveness. Now I know forgiving can be very hard. I absolutely get it. I myself was that type of person, not too long ago, to where I was carrying around this belief that, I don't think I can forgive all the way this person that deeply wounded me in my childhood. I don't think I'll ever be able to. And one thing I'll tell you, and this is kind of personal, but maybe other people will resonate with it. Every time that you have a low moment, and every time you are met with the shits, basically, it kind of just all hits you. If you have not forgiven, you guys, if you have not allowed yourself the gift of forgiving, it's always going to go back to that. It's always going to go back to that core issue if you have not yet forgiven. I promise you. So with time, I've come to realize that, the saying, how it goes, that you don't forgive for others, you forgive for yourself. It's very much real. I know a lot of people out there, you might feel like they don't deserve your forgiveness. And I completely get it. But it's very important that you recognize that you have to do it for yourself, because you are deserving of peace, you are deserving of love, and you are deserving of not carrying around that resentment, okay? That pain, that blockage at the end of the day. You want to allow yourself to fully be able to let it go, to fully allow it to process. How can you go about forgiving? Honestly, you guys, the first thing you should be doing is just setting down the intention of wanting to. That's it. Just set down the intention that you want to forgive. Whether it is your parents, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, whatever, right? Whoever it might be. Just set down that intention. That in itself is already a spell, setting down that intention. And then once you send out the intention, which by the way begins to send out almost immediately energetically, you will begin attracting experiences in your life in which you can go about healing it. Other great exercises you can do that I really will always recommend is letting it out through writing or through speaking about it, whether it be just to yourself or to other people, to a friend, a therapist, whatever resonates with you. I know for me personally, it was hard to talk about it sometimes to other people. So for me, writing helped a lot. Writing it out, just getting it all out. Writing letters to the person that deeply wounded you. Doesn't mean you have to give it to them. It's just to get it out. And I mean letting everything out. That in itself is so healing, you guys. So healing, because you're literally getting it out and you're feeling it. You have to feel it to heal it. That saying is also very true, even though it's such a cliche, right? But it's also very real. You do have to feel it to heal it. Okay, so whether it's talking about it, again, to a trusted friend, to a therapist, therapy can work for people if you make it work. If it resonates with you, go for it. Whatever works with you. But it's very important to allow yourself to feel those feelings. And a lot of the time, it can be very hard. And I completely understand. You're kind of like reopening old wounds, right? It can be easy to distract yourself, and it can be easy to numb yourself, right? But you have to think about your long-term happiness eventually. And eventually that can only take you so far, right? The numbing, the ignoring. Eventually it's going to be time to deal with those things. And better soon rather than later, right? So it's just a more fulfilling experience overall once you start dealing with those things. And again, getting it out is a perfect way of going about it. Also, another thing, you guys, one thing is forgiving, going through the process of forgiving other people. Also, a lot of it will also go back to forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself is so important. If you find that you're the type of person you're carrying guilt, subconscious guilt even, that you might not fully be aware of. If you find yourself sometimes thinking, you know, I wasn't, again, it goes back to the story, telling yourself these stories. I was an angry child, so maybe that's why these things happened to me. Or, you know, I grew up in this way and it made me, I had emotionally unavailable parents or abusive parents or whatever the case, right? And it made me this way, and that's why things happened this way. You know how you see how it like goes back to you blaming yourself, or just little things like that, to where you kind of place the guilt on yourself in order to cope. So it's very important to also address that, and it really does go back to rewiring yourself and changing the story you've been telling yourself. Start by changing that story. And you know, one thing that really helps with this too, that I really recommend, is looking at pictures of yourself and videos, if possible, if you have any, from when you were a child. Reconnecting back to that essence. I know that it sounds maybe not so important, right? Like they're just pictures. Yes, we live in a society where pictures and videos are so easy to come by, right? We can just take a picture in there. But you guys, pictures are energy. That is the energy of someone being captured, okay? So if you have pictures from when you were a child, take just a night or some, you know, a week or whatever resonates with you to go through those pictures and to truly be in the moment with those pictures of yourself. I know it can sound corny and I get it, but it really does help. It really does help to reconnect back to that essence. Set that intention of, I'm going to reconnect back to the essence of who I am through looking through these pictures, through watching these videos. You might be surprised at what you find. But again, forgiving yourself, giving yourself the chance to be fully happy, you guys. Giving yourself the chance to rewire your mind through different thoughts, okay? It all goes back to what kind of thought patterns you're carrying. Remember, you are what you think. You are what you think. If you're constantly carrying around this story that, you know, this is just an example of a story, right? You know, I grew up emotionally abandoned, and I was never really given the love and care that I needed, and so it made me just bad at relationships. I'm not good at relationships. I'm not good at setting boundaries, and that's just who I am. My dad was the same way. My mom was the same way. So it's just who I am now. You see how you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure and not even giving yourself the chance because of that story that you've been telling yourself, that a lot of the times it's just a story, you guys. It's like being on autopilot. It's like being on autopilot. You're not even giving yourself the chance to say, maybe that's not who I actually was. I picked up those patterns from other people along the way. And so it really does go back to allowing yourself the chance of true forgiveness for yourself. True forgiveness for yourself. Like, regardless of whatever you might be carrying around, it doesn't matter. It's not going to benefit you at the end to still be carrying that. Who is it benefiting? It's not benefiting you. It's not benefiting anyone around you. I guarantee you of that. So you might as well just let it go. And I know easier said than done a lot of the time. But again, just setting the intention of wanting to. Just setting the intention of wanting to. That's the first step in regards to forgiving. Right? So forgiving. Again, for yourself. Not for other people. For yourself. For your own peace. For your own comfort. I promise you, the sooner you start with that process, the sooner things are going to get a lot easier along your path. Okay? Step number 3 is becoming aware of accepting and detaching in a healthy way. What do I mean by this? So, you guys, when you step into a place of full acceptance, it makes things so much easier. I cannot even explain how much easier it makes things. So, When you finally understand that people are simply just functioning and treating other people depending on the type of energetic level and consciousness in which they are at, whether it be here, it doesn't matter, wherever, you will free yourself, okay? Because you will finally understand that it never had anything to do with you. It never had anything to do with you, what happened to you, you guys. It never did. It never did. I know it's hard to not take things personal in this life. I absolutely get it. But when you understand that everyone is just simply doing the best they can in their own way, okay? In their own way and idea, depending on which energetic level they are at. Everyone is functioning under a different one, okay? I wish I could sit here and say that all of us are gonna reach full enlightenment in this life, but that is not the case. And that's completely okay to recognize that. Right? Everyone at their own time. Everyone at their own time. Everyone is walking a different path. Everyone, is going to live a different life here on earth. And everyone has their different priorities, right? Not everyone is going to reach full emotional maturity in this life. And when you finally recognize that it's not your job to do the work for other people, you will free yourself. It doesn't have anything to do with you how other people treat you, how other people think about you, what they say about you. It's really none of your business, because they're just, coming from wherever they are at. That's really what it goes back to. So when you learn to adopt this accepting attitude towards other people of just acceptance, accepting them for who they are, and I know that can be very hard to do, right? Especially when someone has deeply wounded you. But when you finally just allow it to click, the fact that this person treated you this way because of maybe things they learned along the way from other people, whether it might have been from their own parents, from people they grew up with, whatever, right? It just all had to do with them and their own traumas and their own upbringing. It never had anything to do with you. It never meant that you were any less worthy. It never meant that you were not special. It never meant that you were not deserving of love. It never meant any of those things. If you might have been telling yourself those things, it's time now to let it go and let this be your sign to allow yourself to let it go. I know it can be kind of disappointing when you find out that other people are not really who you thought they would be. We tend to put people on a pedestal a lot of the time. Our parents, people you grew up with, family, your partner, whatever, right? Partners in the past. And it can be disappointing when you find out that they acted in such a way that deeply hurt you because of whatever, right? But it really does go back to just accepting that it never had anything to do with you. Everyone is just, again, functioning from whatever level they are currently at. And when you finally accept that, you will, in a way, do a healthy detachment, to where you just kind of not take things too personal anymore. You're finally able to see, okay, this person, I was being really nice to this person and they treated me like shit, but it's like, you finally will understand, okay, it had nothing to do with me. Everything to do with them. I don't know, they might have had a bad day or whatever, right? But it really does change everything. And so acceptance and healthy detachment is such a big thing that will really change things, will really just change the game. And once, again, you learn to incorporate those three things, awareness of the fact that you came here to fulfill a large purpose, an important and unique purpose with your own unique set of gifts, that you do have a purpose, you do matter, okay? You do deserve to forgive others and yourself, to free up space for love, to free up space to fully embody your purpose and your true essence again, the essence that you naturally came here with, aka their child self. And when you just become accepting and you learn to not take things too personal, and again, you kind of do this healthy detachment thing, it just becomes easier to embody your true essence. It becomes easier to do the things that you truly love, and doing them from a place of just love for yourself becomes easier to do those things. You will find that through these 3 steps, things just will flow easier, okay? Things will just flow easier. You will finally allow yourself to tap back into a state of more love for yourself, and to a state of more authenticity for yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's what you came here to do. And everyone is so very deserving of tapping back into that. So I hope this video was able to help you out. I wish you so much healing and love on your journey towards more self-love and more healing. And I will see you again next time.